All right, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Let's see. Welcome in. I'm trying to get all my cameras to connect here, so just give me a second. Let me get rocking and rolling, and then we'll get right to it, all right? So, let's see. You guys are going to have to tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich, right? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to show you what we've already done to my canvas up here, right? I have some black gesso that I took and I put my little trees in and blacked out the whole bottom. Then I added liquid white to the top, which when you drag it over that black gesso gives you like this really far away and faded look. And then liquid clear on the bottom. And now we're just dragging over some of the blue in how we want to have our scene look, right? So wherever you put your blue color is where we're gonna have some river, right? So we gotta decide, maybe it falls down, maybe it comes over here, maybe it falls down again, right? You never know, you just wanna have a little bit of blue color underneath. So, you let me know where you're watching from, what your favorite sandwich is. We're gonna do this really cool little thing out here today. Now, let's get up into our sky, and we're gonna change our brush up, right? Let's go in, see if, do we have enough for a sunset? Oh, we've got some sunsetty colors here. Why don't we go into our cad yellow, right into that cad yellow, and let's say maybe right up at the brightest point of our skies, maybe right in here. And you can see how easily the cad yellow blends on the canvas because the canvas is already wet with the liquid white. It's wet everywhere. Anywhere you touch in the white section is already wet. It's along with the black section, but this is like more like a linseed oil type of a thing. So let's get our cad yellow out there, and then we're going to go into the yellow ochre, try to get the skin off of it. There we go. Get that old yellow ochre out here. It's a deeper, darker orangey color, right? Yellowy, orangey, dusky, browny, all sorts of different things. Brownie, I'm getting hungry, you guys. I did not have dinner yet today, so old Paint with Josh is a little hungry. Now look as you drag your color across those pre-painted trees that were already out there and done in our acrylic black gesso, and you paint over them, you get this very faded look, right? The more paint you put over them, the further away they're going to be. The more you drag that paint into your opening, the more like little sun rays you can get, right? What do you want your painting to look like? That's always our question. Let's get a little bit of our bright red. A little bit of that bright reddish color, and again, depends on how far you bring it down, where you put it, the amount, the thickness of the paint on the canvas, and then how far do you spread it out, right? How much do you want to cover? Let's see, let's get into a little bit more of our red, a little touch of our crimson-y paint up here, and we'll come down from the top. Just get the most gorgeousest of colors up there. Now obviously we're not going to leave it all streaky and funky looking like that, because that doesn't look very good, does it? Let's get into a little bit of our blue as well. A little blue, a little more black. More black than blue. You can grab some crimson on there too, why not? Why not? Just toss it up here. We'll cover over one of these trees with it. Maybe not. We'll have to see by the time that we get done blending it, right? Do the top of your canvas, finish your sides, because in this case we don't have much color to cover over on our sides, right? And then you got to tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? We're going to wash off our brush. We can't very well go and blend out all of the color that's here with all this paint on our brush, right? So we've got to go clean it off. Now, maybe you've never seen the old cup before. You really can't see through it, so it's not a good example. But our liquid level is about right here of our odorless mineral spirits, right? It's a chemical, like paint thinner, that takes the paint off the brushes with ease. You know, it's literally draining the color out of the brush. You spin it over here. I like to keep it contained, that way you're not losing so much of it. And now all of a sudden, the brush is, in essence, clean, right? There's no more color on it. But it's hiding deep within the thing, right? So you gotta go in, get your old beater bucket, beat the devil out of it, and then pull out nice and clean. Go over here, dab it off on a paper towel. Always dab it on a paper towel, especially if you're working with liquid clear. It can cause a reaction that we don't want to see, okay? Now, once our brush is nice and dabbed off on a paper towel, boom, 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 pretty dry, right? There's a little bit of residue in there, but it's pretty dry. And we go back into the brightest part of our sky. Now remember, if you wanted to grab this painting, you can get it and go, if you go to paintwithjosh.com, it's over there. It's waiting for you. to get it and take it home and live with it forever, right? The more we mix around this guy, the more it's going to blend those soft colors together. In which case you'll have your yellow kind of turn into orange, kind of turn into red, all on its own because we're mixing them in a certain order, right? Now, once we get up here into our blackish, bluish color, look at how it changes our sky tone, right? So we don't want to come down too far or too much into the center with that gray color. But it's going to want to grow, I'm telling you right now, right? So it depends on how much you're pushing on your canvas, how much pressure you're giving, right? Pushing on it. And you get it to stretch all the way down, right? And how much paint we've picked up throughout our blending process is going to determine how far that paint goes, right? Again, if you wanted to give it like little sun rays blasting into the forest, you can do it with that acrylic gesso. And don't worry if you don't know what it is, because I didn't know what it was for like 4 years. And then we finally figured it out, and the cool little things that it can do for us, and now we just love it. Just can't get enough. Now, because we blended our color so much, it's not going to transfer back and forth across our sky. But this guy's picking up just a little bit too much. So we're going to have to give it one more little wash. One more shower with the old brush. Go take a shower now. You're filthy. Over here and over there. We'll dab it off on our paper towel. Now, we've got to go back and start into our brightest area again, because there are a few streaks right in here that you might not be able to see, but because I'm up so close, I can see them. So we'll come into here into our lightest spot, start mixing it out again. Right? We know that once we leave this light area, we don't want to come back in too far into it, right? But the more that you mix those dark areas with your light areas, and the grayer it becomes, sort of, it looks a little bit more natural. You get that fade out there in the night. It's fabulous. Hey, how do you want yours to look? We always ask, and it's always up to you, right? If you want it to be a little bit darker, add some more color. This, that, and the other. All up to you guys, right? Look at that. You can see the biggest, darkest tree through that misty, gorgeous sun rays blasting through the forest, right? Fabulous, you guys. Now, let's go in there. We don't want to add too many clouds to a scene where we know we're going to have some big old monster trees sticking right here. So if you add a lot of texture back here, it's just more for your tree texture to fight against, right? So let's say, just to have a couple, we'll come out here into our white, just our big, thick titanium white paint. It's super dry, not like acrylic, it's not runny at all. Right? Let's just say, maybe if we're gonna have our big tree here, maybe we had some little guys out here. Let's pop them up and just start mushing and pushing and rotating our brush, trying to get all the color to come off, right? We don't need it to be super bright. We don't need it to be super thick with the amount of paint that's up there, right? Just enough so that when we start to grab it with a whole nother brush, right, brand new brush, to grab this guy and we start to mix it down, clean, dry brush. You don't want to have a brush that has paint on it, otherwise it will taint your color in your sky. That cool little cloud as it's passing by. You know what that mean, this little thing? Seriously, all depends on where you put it too. Maybe, just maybe, we had one more little guy just floating out, or you could almost connect them, right? So you had another little guy floating in right there. Boom. Little piece, a little bit, and maybe, like I said, they ended up touching. Boom! You get this whole big monster. The amount of paint is different in every place because we randomly push it up there, right? So some areas will be much thicker and brighter. Some areas might be a little bit more dull because of the amount of paint that's up there, right? And then we got to decide based on our pressure and how much we're pulling and pushing on all of that paint and blending it in with the colors that are around it, what we're going to get it to look like, right? So it's all up to you guys every time. Literally every time we do this, you get to make a decision and go, all right, what are my clouds going to look like today? Poof, there they are. You know what I mean? You have to decide when to stop. You get to decide how bright, how dark, how blended out, or how textured they get to be. It's all up to you guys, man. You guys. Now, have you ever struggled to get a bristle, like a little hair, out of the painting, and you're trying to like pick at it, or you get a little tweezer and you're in there trying to get it out? If you just come at it, right, say this is your canvas, come at it from the edge and just nip that little hair with just one of these, right? you got like a million little grabbers right here. So you just kind of come at it, grab at it, and just kind of wick away from yourself. Get off of there. That one's stuck in there from the acrylic. It might be. Yeah, no, that's one stuck. Okay, there we go. And it'll come off, and then you can actually see him. Watch this. I'm going to try not to lose that guy. You can actually see it. It even fell over. There it is, right there. That guy was in the painting. Now imagine trying to have grabbed it with your fingertips. You're going to mess up your whole sky. Right? Get it with the side of the brush. An old trick. Just an old trick out there in the night. All right. Now let's come in with our same little fan brush that we just used. I love using limited tools, limited colors. You don't have to go crazy, right? You don't have to get every brush that you own dirty either, okay? Now let's come in here with our white, just like this. Remember, you can find more stuff like this over on paintwithjosh.com. This one especially is over there. It's the very first thing you're going to see. You're going to drag a very small amount of white back and forth, very horizontally. Right? We know we're going to hit a spot. It's going to make our little river bit turn. Right? Just by adding our white paint, not trying to make it all look the same. Right? Just little bits. Whatever we don't like, we go cover over with some grass. Right? Let's get a little bit more of that white. You can see, not cleaning the brush, it did taint the color a little blue there, but it's okay. Over the edge, over and down, over and down, over and down. Right? How many little waterfall bits do you want your little river thing to have? All up to us. Maybe we had that little splashy spray. Our little water crashing down back here, making our little sound of our dreams. Oh, I can hear it already. Just a little babbling brook. Right? Come in with our brush, and again, make a very soft little cloud. Very softer, much softer than we did up here. Right? And again, you have to judge what it looks like. Over there, we'll come back in, grab up a little bit more, touch of white. Maybe we have our river sort of extend over to the side, and you can already see the blue that's there. Right? If the blue isn't there, it doesn't light up like this. So you have to go prior and figure out what you want your river to look like. Maybe it was another little quick little falls right over the edge right here. Just coming down towards us. Now, take the top bit, slide them back. It connects all on its own, right? You don't have to do too much. The more white paint that you put up here, and the thicker it is with that texture, the more close it's going to portray itself, right? So this guy should have a little bit more of that white versus this guy back here. Make him look a little closer and closer and closer. And as they come closer, they get brighter, they get more details, right? So toss on the little guy. Come back in here, make another tiny, tiny little cloud, barely even touching the paint. Just enough for it to slide out, right? Boop, 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 boop. Which way are we going to go now? Continue on this way? Should we go this way? What are we going to do? How much room do you have? Right? You got to leave a little space underneath. Come out this way, and then eventually, right, maybe start coming over this side. Do one more little mini falls. How many mini falls do you have in your guy? Right now, we're going to have to go back over him, because based off what I said, has to go from less texture to more to most as it gets closer down to us, right? All up to us, you guys. What do you want yours to look like? I must say it at least 10, 50 times an episode. Must. Right, again, over to the side, down. How far down? Up to you. Take the top bit, straighten it back off. It connects its own self to your river. Right? You don't even have to do much else than that. Not every place is going to be as bright or have to be the brightest spot in our whole thing. Right? Of course, down here, we're going to have a few more little splashy, crashy little waves. There's misty bits, whatever we're going to call them. Mix it up, again, very lightly. The more you mix it, the more it's going to move and grow. And this guy down here will have a little bit of water underneath him too. Why not? Just leading off into the distance. Right? Now, we've got to decide, based on our little scene, what we want it to look like. Right? I know I'm going to want to have some grass and maybe some rocks, some trees, all sorts of stuff happening back in here. So, let's get back in. We're going with our green, a little of our sap green back in here, a little of our cadmium yellow, because the cad yellow just gives it the most gorgeous grassy color. I'm telling you, man, maybe we're going to have some of that grass come right down and live right next to our little waterfall right there. All of a sudden, the more we pipe this guy backwards, right, backing that grass up, all the way over here, you get this little hill that starts to live out there. Right? We decide how bright it gets to be, how far the grass gets to grow. Maybe we want to change a little color. We'll go into our yellow ochre color. Because back here, there's a little difference. There's a little different touch, right? We are deciding what our whole little scene gets to look like, right? Now, it may be a little bit too yellow, so we'll go back over it with just a slight touch of green, and all of a sudden change it again, right? How many little things can you do? Each time you're doing a little painting, how many little differences can you make? How many little grassy areas can we have where you get these little things, right? What is it about your painting that's going to make it awesome? All these little differences, you guys. That's what's going to make it awesome. The different bits, the different stuff, not all the same stuff out there in the night. Over there, all of a sudden our little river emerges, starts flowing down. Maybe this guy had some little grassy bits that like to fall down over here. Just be dabbling down. It's gonna be really cool. I can already see it, you guys. Right? The more that you go back over your grass, the more you fill in all those little spaces. So you've got to decide, right? What do you want your grass to look like? Do you want it to be super textured where you can see every single blade? Does that make sense if it's really far away that we're going to be able to see every single blade of grass? I don't think so. Right? So what do you want it to look like? You get to decide as you're going back and forth and back and forth and just banking our little lines, taking them backwards, right? That's all we're really doing. Now let's get over here, create some of our foreground. I know my big trees are going to sit right here, so let's put something off onto the side. We don't want to overstack one side versus the other. If we're going to have our big foreground trees literally living on a piece of land right here next to our water, we don't want to then put 10, trees behind it that we're going to have to fight. So, what makes Paint with Josh black? What 3 colors can we make up right here, mixing them right on our palette in order to make this very purplish, blackish color that I like to call Paint with Josh black, right? No, not the, it's a purple black, P-L-A-C-K. So what 3 colors make this up? Does anybody know out there watching? Anybody? Anybody out there know? Blue, black, and crimson, cat knows, everybody knows. This painting is sold! Hey-oh! You guys, that's awesome. Who got it? I can't even check until we're done. Thank you, Mandy Tripp, I appreciate you. Looks spooky and Halloween-y, sort of. You can do so many things with this gesso stuff, right? And all it is the same stuff that I covered the canvas with on the bottom, except I put it on a fan brush and went up and made some trees. And as soon as you brush over them, instantly pushes those trees way off in the distance. Now we're going to take our Paint with Josh plaque and make some trees that are a little closer to us. A little closer. Maybe we can throw some bushes out here too. Check this out. Let's just see what we can get this old Paint with Josh brush to do, right? Now, when you first get your Paint with Josh brushes, this round brush, especially for making bushes, is going to be very compact. And so what I want you to do is take it like this and flatten it out as many times as you can while you're using it. Try to hurt it, because it's going to make it puff out a little bit more, which will make better bushes, right? Now, let's come in here, just go straight old yellow ochre on this guy. And maybe we had a couple of little bushes way in the back there that were just shining in the night. And if we end up not liking them, guess what we do? We literally take them away. We can blend them out, we can push on them, we can do whatever we want to do. Right? Just a little bit of detail back in the distance, because we're going to come in with a little bit darker color. Let's try to actually sneak some of our darkness just right up underneath there. We could have done it prior. It would have been easier to do it prior, but it's all good. It's Paint with Josh. We do what we want around here. Do what we want around here, guys. There we go. A little bit over here, over there. Right? We don't need many things back there, because we're not focusing so far away on our guys back there. Right? Now let's grab our little fan brush. Let's get out here through our plaque mix, and once we go through this plaque mix, instantly going to take your brand new brush and make it look like it's 10 years old. Right? Come out here. And let's say somewhere in the night, maybe living on this little hill. Doesn't have to be as tall as our trees in the background. Right? Could be a little tree hanging out right here. Let's go old classic Bob Rossi tree. Let's go downward this time. Right? We'll go down, we'll start popping our little things side to side, which is really all you have to do fill it out like a little Z-shaped pattern, and then kind of go crisscrossing over those Z-shaped patterns the other way. You got a little tree, right? Does it work? Am I a genius? No. But, am I awesome? Yes. I'll agree with that. Okay. You guys are awesome. Let's get over here, tap in around the base of our tree to kind of seal him into the grass. Boom, boom, boom. Got a nice little tree right there. Nothing wrong with that little guy, and it literally took you a second, right? 1 literal second. What if you had a little friend, though, who was a little bit taller, maybe sat on a little angle on this side, and you can see just how these guys look like they're so much closer to us because that gessoed area that we painted over in the back, right? You can do so many things, guys, with that gesso-y stuff. If I haven't told you once, I'm telling you now. What are the difference between these 2 trees right here? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me, can you see any difference between these 2 trees? I mean, besides the height, right? Don't be like, oh, one's taller than the other. Like, what? What are the difference between those trees? Come down in here. How did I get red on my brush? I just wanted some green, please, and some yellow. It's the dangers of having them all so close together. Right? Tapping it in. What's the difference between those guys? Right? They're like brother trees. What is the difference? Direction of the needles, correct. One of them's got a big trunk at the bottom, right? One of them looks darker because you can see more light through this dangly guy that's kind of hanging down, right? In which case, cover up those bits, especially in the center. Leave them out here on the edge. You want them out there, right? They're dangling over. But even if they're exactly the same color, right? One of them is an upward branchy tree. The other one's an old saggy branchy tree. Right? You don't always have to paint the exact same one, is the point of the whole thing. They're never all going to look exactly the same. Let's get into our little grassy area again. And if we're going to have it drop down as it starts falling down, maybe we'll put a couple bushes in here so we don't need that much detail of our grass. Maybe we had a little hill, drop it down in the background. Right? Lower, 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 working it sideways, rolling it down, right? Like you got your hill, all this grass from back here. Right? It's coming in, it's working it, it's working it, it's working it. It's on the runway, it's working it, and then it goes and falls right over the edge. Now, how bright is that grassy bit going to be? That's up to you. And the brighter it is, the more it's going to stand out, right? And also, we have to remember not to cover up all the darkness underneath. Right? Boom. Say you have an edge right here where it's real bright, that you didn't like. It's okay. We could put a bush over it. It's fine, guys. Don't worry, man. Not every bit is going to be as perfect as you think it should or whatever, right? This whole little thing living down here, I like it. I like it. All this dangly grass and moss and stuff hanging off in the edge, right? Literally tapping at the thing, dangling it down. Now, we got to have one more little tree right here, about the same size, at least one, okay? Do we have enough paint in this pile of plaque right here in order to create our our trio of trees hanging back here? What do you think? Do we have enough paint right there, just in that one little pile right there, in order to create the last tree we need? Yes or no? Answers only, please. Marcy says yes. Oh, we got Caleb says yes. Lots of people are saying yes. You guys are crazy, man. Thanks, Teresa. Appreciate you. Sean Michael, love you, bro. Thank you. Yolanda, thank you for the nice comments. Nicole knows. Nicole's an avid viewer. Let's see. All right, Linda Davis said, no, I don't think so either. I don't think we have enough paint. That's a tiny, tiny pile. So I'm going to use what I already have on the brush. Right? Try to grab up as much as I can because you know it instantly flattens out. And we're going to try to do it. I don't think we're going to be able to, guys, but we'll see. We got a little guy right down there. You can see how I put the trunk of the tree right at the edge of its furthest branch. We did it on this guy too. And that way the branches will crisscross and you won't have a big gap in between. Alright, okay, here we go. Last bit of paint. I don't think it's going to be possible, you guys, but you guys are smarter than me. I'll agree to that. Oh my god, we were able to do it. You guys, are you professionals? Because every time that I think that we won't have enough paint, we end up having enough paint. Or is one of you a magician and you keep adding paint to my pile when I'm not looking? Both theories are valid. Let's come down in here, tap at this guy over to the side, and we got a little ledge, right, before our little things start dangling down off the edge, getting darker as they go down, right? All up to us. We get to decide. No one in here going to tell you that you can't do it or you're doing it wrong or whatever. Let's get out here into our yellow ochre, change up the color of this grass. Yellow ochre into our sap green and get rid of that chunks. Oh my rich. Holy shaving cream, you guys. Get the chunks out of there. We don't need that much texture. Alright, now let's say we come down here right in front of our new bit of water with another little bit of land. This guy we're going to make like a little triangle. Right? Little triangle piece. That's all we're doing. Look for the shapes out there, guys. Look for the shapes in nature, right? Where you can look at it and go, ooh, I can pop a triangle in right here, or a little rectangle. Look, there's still a little rectangle of space open, right? Because you don't have to do everything all at once. And you gotta look for those easy shapes. They'll help you in your perspective of maybe dangling some more grass off of this guy, right? How are you going to do that? You can't just both put them underneath each other. It doesn't work like that, right? So, I'm here to help you guys. Literally here to help you when you need it. All you got to do is ask for old Paint with Josh's help, right? And down in here, maybe, perhaps, there's a whole other bit of land right down here, guys. I can come tapping in, right down underneath. Oh, I like it. Right underneath him, okay? Right underneath him again. Underneath it again, almost ending at the same place. Down here. Underneath. Underneath. Now, we have to start cutting off our river, though. We can't see this little edge if we're standing on this side, in my opinion. Right? You do yours however you make, however you think it looks the best. But I always like to come up, we'll leave our dark separation on this side. Not on this side, though, right? Because there would be some grass, some land, or something, but we would leave it on this side because we would be able to see it, right? All about where you're looking at it from. So come up into your water, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to dab down these little lanes, right? Each time ending down here, maybe in the front, starts to overtake, right? Pushes our water off the other direction. Grabbed up a piece of white, you see how instantly it turned that grass much brighter? All right, now we're going to work on our hills. Right? Come down and back, down and back. Just back that grass up, way over there. Little things, right? Don't even have to be perfect because you always have little potholes and empty spaces in our grassy areas, right? It's never just perfect. Don't lie about your crabgrass, okay? We've all seen it. It's never just perfect. You're gonna have some funkiness out there, right? Now, you can either leave it as grass rolling down your hills and have it very cool like that, or you can put a whole bunch of bushes and textured flowers. We tend to alter back and forth. You know what? This guy, those little guys back there, I don't like them. Right? So what I'm going to do is tap at them until they're so, there we go. There it is. That's what I wanted it to look like. You see that? It's a lot softer, there's much less detail, but we can see there's something back there which looks like it's got a little hill leading down to the water, just like all of our grass is, right? Just a little difference. Again, no one's going to be looking at that thing way out there, Josh. But I was. I was there. I was there to inspect it. All right? Okay. Now, thank you for the gifts so much. We're going to need to mix up a whole bunch of Paint with Josh plaque. Okay? So, if you're painting along, just make a mega pile. Because that's what we're going to need in order to do this guy. I don't think we're going to need our grassy brushes anymore. So our 1-inch brushes can go back and get washed. We don't need these guys anymore. I don't think we're going to need the 2-inch brush. But keep it handy. We will need our fan brushes. You're going to need a large one and a small one. And your liner brush to make your branches and stuff. And I'm going to show you how to make some really cool new trees. I've been practicing, guys. I've been practicing some new ones. Look at these. This is literally what we have off screen. Gonna have some like Douglas firs and different stuff, right? That aren't so overly full. Teaching again that not every tree has to be exactly the same. So, give me a second to wash some of these brushes off. You guys, and then we'll come back in and get it all ready. So, mix up your Paint with Josh plaque if you're if you're painting alone and you're ready to go, you better get that big old pile mixed up. We're gonna need it. We're gonna need it. There we go. Gorgeous. Man, this one's coming out so fabulous. I always forget about the black gesso. Or I'll do it just all black or just half and half, and you forget that you can actually make trees with it. Because all it is acrylic paint. It's just watery acrylic paint. You make your trees with it. Just push it off into the distance. Isn't that amazing? Literally amazing. Okay, I got one more brush to clean, guys. Well, one more big brush to clean. So while I'm cleaning these brushes, you tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? You gotta let me know. If I don't know, then how am I ever gonna order you lunch? Two fan brushes left, then we're done. Then we're done with the cleany poos, okay? No more cleany poos. All set. Okay, you guys, man, these brushes, I'm telling you, they take a beating. They sure do. Right here, right there. Does anyone know who purchased this painting yet, or that it's just purchased? That's all I know. I don't know who got it, and I don't have a device to check it because I'm streaming on all my devices right now. So, does anyone know who got it? Man, this one's gonna be so sweet. Okay, over here and over there. Toss in our little branch to our little guy. Maybe put one of them right here. We can maybe sneak one, but I don't want to cover this guy back here. That's part of it, Josh. You gotta cover stuff. Okay, let's mix up a whole big bunch of our Paint with Josh plaque. If you don't know what it is, check the comments section. It's blue, black, and crimson. And you want a big pile of it. Now, you can see this stuff is like cake icing. It's like peanut butter. It's literally the consistency of peanut butter, okay? Peanut butter is not necessarily the easiest thing to spread very lightly, right? It's a very thick kind of a peanut buttery thing, right? That's the same kind of texture as this. It's like cake icing. Remember that jar of icing Mom would have in the fridge? And you acted like you were sly, like she didn't know. You'd go in and take that big old fingerful every like 3 days, or 3 hours if you're in my case. My mom always knew I was in there eating that cookie. Or eating that icing that was in there, right? So, all we gotta do is mix it up until all 3 of the colors have disappeared. And now we should have enough to make our cool little trees. Now, this is only the 3rd time I've done these trees, okay? But they're gonna look amazing. We're gonna come down in here. I was trying, as I was painting earlier today and just practicing those trees, trying to even practice how I would explain it. That's how much I love you guys, right? I even practice how to explain it. Okay, we know our trees are gonna live right down here, right? Maybe one right there and one right there. We want to split them apart like 5 inches because the base gets kind of big. We don't want them to all bump in. So we're going to wriggle our brush right down through the paint, making sure it's like an axe. It's very sharp. And then we'll come up here. We don't need to go all the way to the top. We do need to be at least taller than these trees in the background. Thank you for the gifts. I love you. Okay, we're going to come down here just like this, pushing a little bit harder as we go down, forgetting about everything else that's back there, right? It's your whole big thing, just like we normally make our sticky trees, right? We do this all the time, making our little sticky guys, okay? The difference between these guys is how we're going to put our foliage onto them. Okay, now let's do about another one, maybe a little taller, right there. As we go down, we push in a little harder. Boom, right? We got 2 trees out here. We get to live out here in the forest and watch these awesome rapids all day. Isn't that fantastic? Okay, now we're going to switch to our liner brush just for a second. Right, the Paint with Josh liner brush, the most fantasticest liner brush known to man, is about to come out in a couple months. Right, maybe October, and if not October, then hopefully in November. So save up. They're going to be 99 bristles the very first week, and then they'll go up to 110 after that. So run our odorless mineral spirit cleaner, our paint thinner cleaner, through your paint so you can make it nice and sharp and we can make some branches, right? Now, let's come out and say that not every branch goes straight up, right? A lot of these branches out here literally go directly sideways. I went to the beach yesterday. We had to drive through the forest in order to get to the beach, and I was inspired by all these little branchy things. Now, they look very cool as just a dead branchy tree, right? Because not everything is going to have leaves on it. And then that's normally how we paint them. But in this case, we're going to add a little foliage. Now, the branches at the bottom, you're not going to have any bristles on, right? But you are going to have branches down there. The branches down here became so heavy that they broke off, or another branch fell, or something happened, right? It's just not a perfect tree out there in the world. I've been looking for the most perfectest of ones, and it doesn't exist. Drag it straight up so you get your sharp tip top, and start going off the sides. And remember, a lot of these branches are not even going to be seen. We're not going to see the whole edge. We're going to cover them with our foliage and stuff. So don't even worry about it, man. Just make sure they come out. And in places where they crisscross, it's kind of a cool spot, because then it's going to make it look a little bit more 3D, your bush or your tree out here. Right, so come off the side. We know that we're not going to have lots of stuff off the side over here. We know these guys are going to have a few little branches poking out of their trees, and just like that, they look really cool, guys. Now, let's do something a little different, okay? We're going to take all that wet mix that we used to to make our branches and get rid of it. We're going to we already have our plaque mixed up, so let's grab just a bit of our sap green, right? A little bit of it, not too much, and about half of our pile of plaque, so about the same amount, 1-to-1 ratio. And let's take the sap green and just really dull that guy down. Right, so we'll be able to see a slight tint of green in this undershadowing undercolor, which is going to be perfect, right? It doesn't have to be straight plaque. Just like that. And now we're going to come out here. Don't even have to wash your brush off. You can literally use the plaque that's already on there with this plaque that has some green in it. Again, making it very sharp, just like we would if we were going to try to do this, right? We're trying to do this at the very tip top initially. So let's start with just the teeny corners, right? A couple little corners of our branch. Maybe this guy branched out a little. Maybe that guy had a little branchy bit onto him, right? And not every one is going to be connected to the tree or be as long or as short or whatever. They don't all have to match. Just by pushing upward, right? We're pushing up, leaving a bit of texture on our tree like that. Now, in some areas, you can even pretend like you had another branch over here. You're going off in the other direction. Not everyone needs to be perfect. Now, I like to make them where maybe they look a little bit more full, right? But a little less full than all of these guys back here. I like having some that come down and we go out this way, filling it up. We're basically covering in the entire center of our trunk. It doesn't need to be so sparse everywhere. Right? But eventually, we're going to reach a point where we don't have any more branches on our guy. Right? And it doesn't all have to be as full as anything either. You don't have to go all the way down, so don't worry. Go right back into our plaque, right back into our little greenish plaquish mixture. Come off of this guy over here, and if you needed to make it just a little sharper, there we go. Tapping in little things with just the corner first. And this guy's got a bit, right? Out over here, just a few little things, nothing crazy. Not everyone's going to be exactly the same amount of thickness, right? Some of these don't even touch, but our brain knows that there's a bit of branch holding all this stuff together out there. These guys came down around, right? Not everyone has to be as bright or as full or whatever, right? Get out there, right? Not even covering its whole branch. They can be out on the end. You don't have to cover every single bit, and neither of them have to be as full as the other one does. Right? Doesn't always have to be the same, guys. So I was connected along that branch, filling in. Right now, you don't know which one is part of which tree, which adds depth, separation, all sorts of things. Maybe we had one more look at it. Down and around, bang, right? Little things, little dark areas. We're not trying to light up our whole tree. It's not all going to be the same thing. But we are going to go back and highlight all those guys, which is going to make them look even more 3D than they already look. Now, what are we going to do after this Paint with Josh show? We're going to go watch the Glitter Witch stream. Because she's going to be pouring candles and wax melts and all sorts of stuff with the most amazing colored glitter mica powder you've ever seen. So, you got to go check that out after we're done over here. Look at this guy. Isn't that fantastic, you guys? Isn't it? Just amazing. Okay, let's get in here with our very small fan brush. And I'm going to show you the difference in size. What I like to do anyway. You have your normal size to make your big branchiness, right? And then we've got a little baby guy, which is about half the size of your bigger guy. And that way, even if you were to add too much paint accidentally, you're still not going to cover over all of your shadows, which is what we're trying not to do. We're going to take our liquid white paint, put it right in front of our green, grab some of our yellow over here and some of the green, right? And then work it into that paint. All it does is take the thicker green paint and make it a more wet, thin consistency. That's all it is, right? Now, let's say, just like in everywhere, we gotta have some light coming from somewhere. So this guy, we're gonna start popping off and popping down. Little bits, just like our little Z shape, right? Not trying to light up every piece, and if it does get too bright, you can always go back over it and dab at it and dull it down, right? Not everything's gonna be as bright as you would think, really. There's lots of shadowy darknesses out there. And not every tree is gonna be catching all the same amount of light. Right? So, some trees can be a little darker, some bits of trees can be a little bit brighter, all in how it's catching the light, right? It's a little bit up here, little teeny tiny taps, not trying to cover everything, just trying to cover over some of our darkness, right? Get onto this guy, same thing, just tapping up here, little bits, little bits, little bits, little bits. The more you tap into it, the more it's going to work itself with that plaque and dull itself down, right? So it's not overly too bright. If you ever think you have a spot that's overly too bright, go over it again, right? Remember, these guys are further away. No one's going to be noticing those. They're going to be looking right here when our whole thing is all done, right? So, a little bit more of your liquid white, into your green, into your yellow. Don't forget about your old friend yellow, or your cad yellow. That's really what's going to brighten up your green versus having just green and white. Makes it look very pale. So we're going to get out here, and again, very small little taps. We're not trying to cover all of the plaque, which means we're tapping just so lightly in so few areas. That way, you're shining through with some of that brightness, right? You're catching some of the light, but you're not covering over every piece of darkness that we have out there either, right? Again, if it's a little too bright, we'll do it a few more times. Just try not to cover up all the dark. Instantly they look a lot more 3D, don't they? You have those little bits. Again, not every piece is going to be as bright. We're not trying to catch everything out there. It's never all going to be the same, right? So don't make it the same. Don't worry about it all being the same. That's what I try not to do. But you know what? If that branch was a little bit brighter than the other branch, okay. If not, then also okay. Not going to bother me, right? Because if you go out there and really look, the sun's blasting through the trees at different angles, and nothing's going to be as bright as it ever was. Like, you know, I mean, guys, come on. People just like to hate in the comments, that's all. People in the comments, man. Stay out of the comments. If you're trying to do this, like Old Paint with Josh, and be like a painter and have a YouTube channel and all that stuff, just don't read the comments. That's all I gotta say. People said it to me, and I was like, yeah, right, I gotta read the comments, because that's where people are asking all the questions. No, man. Some people are asking questions. Most people are just mean. Alright, let's get over here. A little of our cad yellow, a little of our sap green. Remember, you gotta have the right mixture. If you don't have the right mixture, it's not coming off your brush. Little dabs here, a little bit there. Where do you want it to be bright? Not every place is gonna be the brightest. No. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's why I chose to paint landscapes. I was like, oh, why don't you try like a portrait? No thanks, because it has to be perfect. You know what doesn't have to be perfect? A tree or a bush or a big tuft of grass or whatever. That doesn't have to be perfect. But when you start talking about faces and such, now we're talking about perfection, and if it doesn't look perfect, then you're not a good artist, right? At least that's how I see it. Over here, tapping slightly, working across all of our little plaque areas, just trying not to cover too much, right? And if we do end up dropping a bit too much on, dip down, wipe our brush off, go back over it a few times, and figure it out. It's all about the texture and the consistency. Remember, in the sunset, especially if it's back there, we're not going to see a whole lot of everything everywhere. And the more that you paint these trees, and the more that I paint these trees, the better the both of us are going to get, and the cooler they're going to look, right? So think about that little spot in there. Little space up there. Boom, boom, right? Not everywhere is going to be perfect, you guys. Try to make it. Try to make it perfect. It'll never be. Oh, I like that. That's a funky looking tree right there. Okay. Now, let's get in here. We're going to mix up a little of our brown and our white and our yellow ochre because I like seeing the three together, just like that. Over here, mix it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. That's a brown. That's a downtown Julie Brown right there. Come off our, remember, if we said all of our light was coming from our one side, we're just going to come onto our one side, the little areas, until we can get down to our trunk, in which case, tap multiple times, creating our little trunky texture, right? That's all it is. It's just a ridge of textured paint. Each time that you touch it and then release, it's creating this little ridge, and then you go back over it, and that's lighting up that little ridge. Now remember, you don't want to lose all of your darkness, so take some of your plaque as well along your shadowy side, and then you'll have equal amounts of texture on your branchy, barky tree trunks, right? Really easy, guys. Tap. Okay. Now, let's go back to our grass brush. Remember I said you probably wouldn't need it. I was fibbing. We gotta get a little bit. A little of our sap green, a little of our yellow ochre, just a touch of Ruski. A little of our yellow, cad yellow as well. There we go. Just so we can come down in here and it's not too overly different, right? If it's too bright or too different from what your color is, stop before you put on too much. Right? If you put on too much, then you're going to have to change your whole hill. Going down, gathering into the base, right? And now you got your trees living at the bottom of some grass. Now, would you want to put on, you know, different bits of bushes and highlight those? All up to you guys, right? I'm not there telling you you can't do it. You can do whatever you want to do back here. Totally up to you guys. Chit-chat, chit-chat, little things, little bits. Little light, little here, little there. I love it. I absolutely love this one, you guys. So, I'm going to throw the old bird signature on there, and then we'll have to see. Does anyone know? I know I asked before, and then I never looked for the answer. I'm terrible like that. I'm so sorry. Does anybody know who got this painting? Because I'm going to have to get it back from them and be like, you know what? No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Let's go up here and just go, they're flying through the sky. The old bird family. I like it. I like it, I like it, I like it, guys. Really cool. Really cool. We can even take some of our liquid white. Since our waterfall down here is so very, very, very close to the front, we might see a couple little specks of water. Right? Just like we do with our sand or our stars. Just a few. Don't want to do too many. If you're too many, it's going to look funny. And just a little bit there in the night, you guys. So we're also going to have to start coming up with a title for this painting, because whoever got it is going to get to choose the title. I know, London. Going to get to choose the title for it. So, let's see. Does anyone know who grabbed it? Thanks, Leela Bowden. Appreciate you. Appreciate. Cosmic did? No way, man. That's freaking rad. Okay, so at least I know where she'll be watching. But yeah, this one came out amazing, you guys. We only have a few minutes left before the Glitter Witch stream starts. Let's see the signature down here. I don't want to have so much paint on the brush. Boom, boom. I can't believe Cosmic nabbed up these trees, man. It's these trees, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I showed the Discord what we were going to plan on doing tonight, and they were like, ooh, those trees. We need to get on. So, Trusty grabbed it. I like that. I like that, you guys. That's like a 22-inch tree on a 24-inch canvas, by the way. That's a big old tree, as they say. So, let's see. Boom, boom. All right, so we'll finish the tutorial. And say goodbye to the Facebook crew and the YouTube crew. You guys, I can't tell you how much it means that you stuck with me and watched the show. I know there's many painters around to watch, and you chose to watch me, so I appreciate you. I can't wait to see your versions of this wicked, awesome, cool painting. And please send them in to me. I want to see them. Send them into facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. And blah, blah. You crazy folks. I love y'all.